do is maybe build in the research of how more, you know, if we train our teacher candidates that they are comfortable using this and they get out there in the classrooms, then much more likely are they to utilize this with students? Because again, they go out in those classrooms and I'm getting reports back, well, our, you know, cooperating teacher was just amazed. They didn't think that that student would ever want to do anything with this. And, you know, so they're surprising their cooperating teachers. And, you know, so it's getting out there. But, you know, how much more likely are they when they get in their own classrooms to utilize this with students? And we also open our workshops up, and we did in core, but, you know, we would like the teachers that are already out there to be knowledgeable about this as well. Because I think a lot of them, maybe when they were going through the assistive technology was more just specialized. You know, that communication device that cost $5,000 and usually broke, that now the iPad or the freebie communication app does the same thing. They need to, you know, be aware that there are more possibilities for AT. Thank you so much for coming.
And I'll give you one more little fun fact. I was in our computer lab one day, and about half a dozen of the kids didn't know how to use a mouse. They didn't use touch screen, and they didn't know what those things were. So I had to teach them how to use the mouse.
Interesting. You know, I also think too that there's some areas, if you will, where measurements and studies and, no, if you can help a couple of kids, it's worth it no matter how you measure. That's the way I look at it.
Well, in special ed.
Well, I mean,
That's,
I've had a little experience with it, and you know, using the technology, and in my case, it was a little different. They came in and we did some stuff on the whiteboard, and the reward was to go onto the computer and play the, you know, haunted amusement park game where they had to put patterns, and you know, and they were fantastic. They just loved it, you know. And so, how could you measure that?
I can tell you a story. One of my practicums teacher candidates who were in a general ed classroom. These were students working with students with milder disabilities who were included in the general ed classroom, and she was co-teaching with her general ed teacher a math lesson. And they actually, I had told her, you know, they had iPads, but like you said, the iPads were used for rewards.
Right.
If you do this, then you get to play on the iPad. And I said, if you're going to teach a lesson, I want you to utilize the technology for their learning, for the instruction and for their learning. So she actually got with her CT, and they still didn't use iPads, they used the board. But they put some math problems on, and they let the kids come up to the smart board, and it was a game where you drag the answer, you know, like they were talking about on the app they smashed. The original game is to drag the number. These kids, oh my gosh, they were so excited to get to go up there. And then, and I was videoing this because that's how we observed some of our candidates out there. And I wish I could have, of course I didn't have permission, but I wish I could have saved that just to show, because the minute that was over and the teacher said, okay, now we're going to do the same thing on your worksheets. This one little boy went from, I mean, you could just see the change in the expression. I thought, that tells it all. The same thing. They were doing the same skill. So, you know, does it matter? Does it matter whether you know, do it on an iPad and find the right number, or circle it on a worksheet? Actually, it was up in Virginia, the university I was before I came here. The local school system had a rule: no worksheets on Tuesdays and Thursdays. No worksheets. They had to have other things going on. I'm beginning to understand why that might be a good idea. But unfortunately, this was a very poor school district, so they didn't have a lot of the devices that some of our schools do. But not all do, and that's why we want our teacher candidates to take these out and utilize them, especially in those school systems that maybe they don't have the technology yet, so they can at least, you know, some exposure to kids. Okay, feel free to come up and play.
All right, guys, if y'all want to take a few minutes to come up, look around, ask any other questions, we'll come back and we're going to do about 20, 25 more minutes on one more aspect of actually accessibility, universal design, and then you're done for the day.
Right.
Is it there in the book?
Would-